I just finished watching the Perkins Brothers build a nice house in North Carolina. And we're going to watch it together, and I'm going to try to provide an objective, friendly critique. What I would do differently, what I would do the same way, and the things that I learn as I watch them do what they do. Maybe you'll learn something worthwhile too. And before I hit play and we start doing what we came for here, go like and subscribe. Watch these guys, because you're going to enjoy what they do and you're going to enjoy the way they do it. All right, so there's the lot, flat and clean, like a pool table clean. That's important. And the painting is meticulously done. But guys, if I was doing that, and maybe the next time you do it, let those paint lines run by the corners. That way, as you dig it, as that corner's obliterated and you're having to visualize the intersection of the 90, you've still got the paint lines out on the ground pointing you to where straight down needs to be. I don't know, at least that works good for me. And look at that. You see the top of that stone wall? I assume that came from on site. It would be nice to know the answer to that, but we're going to get a better look at that here in a few minutes. Right, look at that. Rock. Right there, between those two guys towards the right, that little excavator just scraped something hard. Okay, there it is. The rock comes up and creeps right up almost to the surface. And right now, they are hoping that a 10,000-pound machine is going to break whatever that is. Footings going right down. Okay, hard. The bone, look at that. He had to change direction and get back into the ruts that he had scraped in order to flake off the, man, that is not soft rock. Little machine's doing it. Did it. Okay, now that apparently is a utility trench, probably water or something. All right, and there's something, that's got to be block stacked along the edge. Water trench going over the hill to wherever the source is. Deeper footings out on the outside, shallower spread footings on the inside. Those Moffats, man, those forklifts are awesome. And up and gone. Now I don't see any bond beams in that pile of block. Checking the diagonal carefully. No batter boards. You don't always have to have batter boards. If you're careful with line stakes, you can get good dimensions. Boom. Right there, they appear to be driving maybe rebar dowels in with the top of the dowel stopping at top of concrete. So they just pour to the top of the dowels. Boom, right there. The lap on the rebar is ample. The rule of thumb is, and it's just a rule of thumb, 40 bar diameters. If that's number 4 bar, half-inch diameter bar, then a 20-inch lap development length is what you need, and they've darn sure got that. Clean, very clean. Showtime. Oh, okay, that looks like, can't tell exactly, but it looks like maybe a 50-50 mix, probably what it is, half 3/8 and half 3/4. Line pumps can pump that pretty good. The slump is not too high. Bam. All right, so this is all dirt bank pour, which is good practice because those footings are locked in laterally and they're down on good grades. When you pour against the dirt, you don't have to strip the forms and backfill with dirt that's soft. It's strong. Okay, this is great. Using an aluminum screed to screed in between those pins so that footing is flat. It doesn't have to be smooth, it has to be flat for the block. That's nice. Clean them off. I assume we snap some. I don't see the lines, but there must be lines on there. The leads are important. Left a hole for a vent. Let me point this out. You don't see any quickie saw cutting anything off the bottom of any of the blocks. That means that the footings were flat, and it's always better to have the footings a half an inch too low than a half an inch too high. It's miserable having to cut each block to get it down to line. Yeah, I don't see any bond beams, boys. Grouted at some number of vertical cells where the anchor bolts are. Parging. Parging is troweling a thin layer of mortar on the face. Looks better. Kind of protects the block. All right, now this kind of mystifies me, but I respect it. I think they're grabbing dirt off of the spoils that came out of the dig by hand to backfill against the wall. Those boys are not afraid to work. Glue or caulking. No sill seal, but caulking. Bolting down, I assume southern yellow pine, pressure treated. Okay, Simpson post bases, that's a nice touch. They're not just floating on those footings, they're held in place. Okay, they're building up the beams. See that? Laminating 2x12s. Scattering the joists. There was a good long lap on those where those joists come together. That's good. What kind of sheathing is that? 1 1/8, guessing. Okay, see the 2x4 that's following them in front? That's so they can drop the 2x4 and then hammer the sheet back to tighten up the tongue and the groove. I don't know what kind of sheeting that is. East Coast. Gluing it down. Change the direction on the sheets over there on that other diaphragm because the joists are going the other way. Can we read the lifetime? What kind of sheeting is that? Lifetime something or other. Water resistant, I hope. Laying it out. Insulation in the wall bucks. Zip system. That zip system, I have become a fan. After our Spec House series, I wish I would have done the whole house with that, because once it's up, no more vapor barrier required, and it is very watertight. Carefully placing their shots. Yep. Maybe that was rock wool they put in there. All right, now they're dragging up a brace. See that right there on the end of the wall? You put one nail through the brace so it swivels as it comes up. And then on the other end, they've got one that is swiveling down on the outside of the rim joist. Good and secure. You don't want it to blow over. Next wall. Bottom cripples. Beautiful view. Water on the subfloor. Wintertime's coming. Heavy wall. Okay, what does that say? Go beyond. Do not close gaps. See that? You're supposed to leave just a little space right there to give it room to move a little bit, and they did. Mud. I hate mud. So now we have to start fighting little partitions on the inside. Big walls are done for now. Scaffold comes out, roll around scaffold's a moneymaker. Ceiling joists, floor joists for the floor, upstairs I mean. Look at that, that's nice lumber. No big knot clusters. People brag about southern yellow pine, I guess I can see why. Cordless nailer, I have to educate myself on that. All right, now if this was me, boys, I would have the stairs in today. If you had the set of stairs up that stairwell, you're not going to fall as far if you drop over the edge, and you've got stairs to get up and down. Put your stairs in. Nice. Unison kicking, that's good. Beautiful. All right, now here's a spot They've got room back against that wall, and that flat lot is helping them on that scaffold. They're just throwing big 2x12 cutoffs under the ends. That's good enough. You don't want to try to stack it on little boards. It's got to be roof sheeting. Hand loading roof sheeting is not fun. Okay, time to throw the ceiling joist on there, I'm thinking. Oh, one more wall. All right, now this, I don't know why they didn't frame that on the ground. I assume it's because that partition in the back is too close to the edge. But it doesn't really matter because old school, one at a time, with roll-around scaffold and nail guns is just darn near as fast. Yeah. All right, here come the ceiling joists. The beautiful thing about ceiling joists is you're building a work platform. So they're going to hand stack this. And the question is, why don't they order trusses? Well, there might be, oh wow, look, is that snow? Have they got snow on the job or just heavy frost? But there are reasons. I mean, sometimes the truss yard is too far away. Sometimes the road up there is just problematic for trusses this wide. And a hand stack, cut and stack roof, simple like this one, doesn't take long. Probably close to a wash on cost. Yep, those planks, you got your own scaffold, mock up the ridge pole, throw up the ends and some intermediates. Okay, they're notching for the outlookers as they go. There's the notches. Winter's coming, boys. Sturdy outlookers. That, my friends, is a man who keeps working even though he cut off most of his left hand. Did you hear? I don't know if you heard about that, but that's a prosthesis on there because he got that left hand tangled up in a jointer. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, but he just muscled through. I salute you, Jamie. You're up in the air, popping outlookers into the end of a roof system with a prosthetic left hand. That is inspiring. I'm not going to complain about a sore back anymore. All right, now okay, look at this beautiful toss. So let's look at that for a second. Those notches in that barge rafter, in that end rafter, you're saying, well, that weakens that. I mean, that rafter has been notched, the 2x6, or what is that, a 2x8, is now functionally not the same. Right. But the wall sheathing comes right up the outside of that wall and is nailed to everything in the world, so that gable end rafter is stronger than any of the intermediate rafters. So there's no harm, no foul in notching that when you're solid sheeting the wall. And that's a great catch, by the way. That's the barge rafter, the fascia. Zip system going up, taped while they're there. There's another shot of the beauty of a flat lot when you're going to scaffold up. It is flat. There's the same amount of, the same footprint of blocks underneath keeps the scaffold level and plumb to the building, and it's worth making a smooth lot if you can. All right, getting up in the air. So that's a simple roof, but there's nothing wrong with a simple roof. All right, so they've got there's two different roofs, and it's interesting to me, and one of the reasons maybe that you would not use trusses is that the major part of the house is now dried in, and then they can take a couple days or whatever it takes to turn their attention to that other section, finish that up and get that dried in. But there's some advantage to have the flexibility of building it as you go. Yep, same pitch, same long overhang. They clip off those tails. Yep, there they went. All right, now look at that. That guy's coming across the top with a roller. He's got two hands on it, and he's rolling that zip tape down into tight contact with that roof sheathing. If you don't push that tape down to get the bubbles out and get 100% pressed down, it's going to curl off there before you get the shingles over it. So good practice, boys. Look at that bridge plank flex. All right, I don't get this. You've got posts going down below grade. All right. So I've got to assume that even though it's not a color that I recognize, I assume that that southern yellow pine is pressure treated because it's going below the grade. And I've heard that pine is receptive to the fluid of pressure treating, that it'll penetrate all the way to the middle, but man, I hope so, because that stuff is down in the dirt. It's sitting on concrete, good. Down in the dirt, I don't get it. So as good a job as these guys do, I have to assume that there's a reason for this, but it looks to me like I would have either poured a continuous strip footing or brought those spread footings up to grade and put those posts on a little slightly elevated post base that would hold them up away. But maybe that southern yellow pine is bulletproof below grade. I don't know. Beautiful tenon. Did you see that? Did you see the tenon on that corner post? And I think there were tenons on the top of the post up there too. It must just be a covered porch. Same overhang detail. Coming on up. All right, now this illustrates a not insignificant part of the compensation in the life of a framer, of a carpenter, is that you can stand back and see what you've brought up out of the ground. It's really rewarding. It's hard to deposit in the bank, but it is fun to see what you've done. All right, another little roof. Looks like they're beating the weather. Pass load. All right. Look at that. Look at that, my friends. Jamie, how do you do that? Wow. Just wow. Just wow. All right. The stairs are going in at last. Should have been weeks ago. I mean, my opinion. That's really the only criticism I can level. But you survived it, and there they go, and boy, isn't it nice. And they walk nice. Look at that. A chase for a triple wall chimney, probably. It's a tall ceiling. One more deck job. Okay, so I love that. You see that the straight runs are interrupted by a board perpendicular running from the center of the post back into the house. That's just so much cleaner than staggering joints and playing that game. That's really nice. Good backing. Same thing. High ceiling. Beautiful fall day. All right, so that's it. So I love that. I love the video. I love what I can tell about the way the guys were relating to each other on the job, and you can tell somewhat about that. They kept it clean. They built a nice, tight house. From what I can see, the only two things I would consider doing different was the stairs earlier, and I wouldn't have buried those posts. But there's probably something going on there that I don't know about, which makes both those criticisms silly. Turned me into a troll, passing judgment and a lack of information. But anyway, go to the Perkins Brothers, look at their channel, see what they've done. They've got a lot of videos, they've done a lot of things, not least of which is to model how you muscle through a serious injury, a serious setback, and continue to do your job. Maybe that's what I take away from this, that even in the face of something that would crush somebody, maybe like me, it's possible to just continue doing your job and doing it well. Thanks, Perkins Brothers. And thanks for watching Essential Craftsman. Keep up the good work.